guys, welcome back to the channel. So last week we mentioned we've had several new additions to the demo shaft matrix, or certainly our testing matrix, and one that we haven't ever tested on the channel before.
That's right.
One of the big names in the shaft manufacturing world, UST. We had some of their shafts previously and for testing, but you know, it's difficult to carry them all, Matty. I know we've got a lot of shafts on the wall behind us, but we can't carry every shaft by every company, so we do have to sort of be somewhat selective about which ones we carry. At the time when we made our selection on the demo matrix, you know, there wasn't as many shafts being offered by UST at that point. It had been a while since they'd refreshed their offerings, but they are now sort of changing that, and they've got 3 new ones for us to look at.
It seems like these have quite a bit of buzz. I think anytime we do a shaft video, we get at least 1 or 2 comments saying, can you guys test these UST LINQ shafts?
The LINQ, yeah.
I've been using one, or I know a friend that's been using one.
Definitely. I mean, there was a few years back, they had a shaft line called the VTS, which is the variable torque system, which was more just a take on torque, so you could dial in the feel and how you like the shaft to kind of play from that perspective. And those were really for dealers only, right? So guys like ourselves, the custom shops of the world, the people who specialise in professional club fitting, and this is what that reminds me of. LINQ reminds me of that. Now there have been LINQ purple shafts, and there have been other LINQ shafts in the past, but this is a club fitters line. Very much in what we've seen in the past with white board, blue board, red board. You know, Matrix had their own black tie, red tie, white tie. Similar thing. So basically 3 bend profiles being designated by a color. So here we have the black, which is the one I have here. That's their kind of strongest, most tip stiff, fairly stable in the handle, mid flex in the midsection. We've got the red here, softest tip section, very soft middle and a little bit more stable in the handle. And then the blue, which is the second stiffest tip section, very stiff in the middle for those who kind of load it really hard. And you know, again, a fairly sort of mid-flex butt sections. They'll all feel pretty good, but how they load will be very different.
Yeah, it sounds like they all are kind of portioned up quite differently, and a little bit different to what we've tested recently with like that speeder shaft. What was the other one we tested?
We tested last time the Kylie.
Yeah, the Kylie. So I think that reminded me initially of what you said about the black LINQ, firm in the handle and the tip section and sort of softer in the middle. Kind of like what the Kylie is, but then the red and the blue sound like they're quite a bit different in that sense.
Definitely, and you know, guys, I think, you know, one of the challenges that I think you have, and I get it in my DMs all the time, is you guys trying to figure out where you fall in this designation of swing type, tempo, speed, release, all that sort of stuff, and how that sort of relates to the head you use, the ball flight you have, the ball flight you want, all that sort of stuff. Trying to tie all that, and it's not easy. I mean, you know, we're here standing, you know, it's been 20 years of me doing this to be able to understand when to pick this profile based on what I see in the numbers and how to move strike location and stuff. It's not something that really you guys should, you know, have you know, be necessary for you guys to understand that stuff. You know, that's our job.
And that's why you come to a place like this and get fit for, you know, this type of shaft that you're spending some money on, and you want to get it right.
Absolutely, definitely. So let's hit them. Let's see what your user experience is. I'm always keen to hear from you what that is. You know, we know what they're kind of designed to do, and then we'll match up the numbers at the end, Matty boy. We're going to stick to the same head, your TSI 3.
Yes.
9 degree on this time, and let's see what they do. This new patented Matt Bloy fade. What is this?
I'm not used to it yet either. That was a little bit fadey.
I like it though.
It was buttery. A little Healy. It's not bad, actually.
No, it's not. It's actually done very well there. It's kept the spin down fairly well. Yep, for a low Healy one, 2600 is pretty good.
It's a little bit higher in the head, less than the heel. It's good flight. Don't mind that.
That's the one that's
feels
got
pretty
some
good.
heat on it, isn't it?
Yeah, higher in the face again.
Wow. That stayed in the air forever. I mean, the kind of good ones look a bit like that.
Yeah.
Right,
those are
so
the best
good
too.
ball speed, launch, and spin, really nice. You know, we add in the couple of early Healy ones that kind of obviously holds us a little bit more down the left wing, but
Still good numbers, isn't it?
good numbers. Good
Yeah.
numbers, good strike.
Hit that one really well. Probably the best overall swing of the bunch. I think I hit it most centered of all of them.
Really nice.
Yeah, I'd be really happy with that flight. Yeah, it's good. Good speed.
Yeah, speeds up a little
Very
bit, like
balanced.
you say. I mean, you know, and that previous one was, you know, obviously it was a nice low spin one. That's why it went so far, but
Yeah.
not always the best, you know, drive, the low spin one.
No.
Be happier to see probably something that looked a bit more like that.
It's a good hit.
Got a little bit more air time, isn't it?
Climbing a little. Yeah, higher overall, isn't it? Higher flight. Similar. Just a fraction more open. Maybe it's just getting a little behind me. I'm not sure. See if I can adjust a bit. Good.
Taking off a hellacious height there.
Yeah, that's towering. Yeah, I want to say these launch angles are up over the blue. More heel strike, but it took off a little straighter.
A healthy 295 in the air.
Wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, so 141 average peak, 125 average peak, so 16 feet in height.
It's quite significant.
Quite a bit.
It maybe just doesn't quite suit my timing. That's why I'm leaving the face just a little bit open. That's the only thing I can think of, but it feels good otherwise.
Okay, so the big kind of big brother of the other two, the stiffest of the bunch, the black. Yeah, definitely the stiffest profile, Matty. Maybe a bit more of a linear EI curve, and you know, you guys hear me talk about EI curves and kind of how that goes. So the black tends to be kind of quite stiff in the butt section, quite stable in the mid, and then obviously kind of has a little bit of an upward curve at the tip section. That's as it stiffens up into the tip. The blue is kind of, you know, mid stiffness, then it can actually bumps up in the curve. It's not as flat line as the black, bumps up a little bit and then will drip down a little bit. That's a softer tip.
Right.
So we should see this one, you know, be the flattest flight of the bunch, and obviously for you, feel a little bit less of that kick you talked about.
That's nice. That's a little more like it. This is really starting to suit my timing.
Yeah, I just found a rhythm with it.
I just feel I can accelerate through it a little bit better. High in the head, that'll be a knuckler.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for the numbers, that one. Okay, good stuff. Three very interesting ball flights there.
Yeah.
We look at the club data. And we've seen this a little bit with you recently. Softer shafts tending to leave them out to the open side.
Yeah.
Not the hooky flight that we often kind of expect to see.
And it seems to be a face angle thing. I'm not noticing like a huge discrepancy in path or anything. It just seemed to be that I would hang the face. Well, there it is. Yeah, a couple degrees more open. And we kind of talked off camera. I think maybe some of that is psychological in that I feel the softness. I maybe think it's going to overdraw or something, so I hang on to the club a bit more. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to getting down to something like the black, which I know, I guess just suits my speed and timing better, I think I get a little bit better at just kind of letting it go and squaring it up.
Yeah. It's hard for your mind not to go to Ventus when we go through this.
It really is.
It? You know, black, blue, red, the way these feel. None of them are, this one isn't particularly soft, like you said.
In feel, it feels very stable.
Very stable. This one still felt quite good.
Yep.
You know, and then, UST talk a little bit about that with the shafts, the new M40X.
Yes, I saw that on the side.
In there, so that's their kind of breakthrough with this one.
Gotcha.
We talk about that all the time. I'm not sure how much sort of value adds to these videos for us talking about material content and the higher kind of carbon to resin content.
I think it
modulus.
gives people at least an idea of what they're paying for.
Yeah.
And then how the engineering of the shaft, if it's higher content, less resin, it should be able to play firmer while feeling better. I'm hoping that concept we've kind of
and
gotten
that's
that across.
exactly what it comes down to, Matty. The higher the tensile strength, the kind of the more it gives them the ability to play around a little bit with the kind of feel of it while retaining that stability.
Yeah.
They don't have to obviously use as much sort of resin in there, and it's all just refining the way these graphite shafts are made, and over time they're going to continue to get better with that. We look at what an airplane looked like 30 years ago, what an airplane looks like today, the breakthroughs and the different things they're doing. That's all materials, that's aerodynamics, that's how they're able to achieve that. And the manufacturers are finding ways to extract more performance out of their own materials.
Yeah, quite amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're not super budget by any means. They're still a premium shaft offering.
Yeah.
But in terms of 3 shafts, obviously black, blue, and red, I think if you were looking at Ventus, or maybe you had Ventus in the fitting and you go, I'm not sure if I can go quite that high in my budget, or maybe you want to get two shafts and that would be too much in the Ventus and you want to look at something like this. And I'm not picking on Ventus, it could be a Diamana shaft or something like that also. I think this might be a really good alternative. It really reminds me of a Ventus red, black, and blue.
And so I said to you, would you play the black? And you're like, well, kind of somewhere between like the black and the blue, I guess. And
yes.
And you
a
like
midnight blue, perhaps.
Yeah, midnight blue. So the LINQ midnight blue, but the purple. We were talking about a purple, and actually there is a LINQ purple.
And what's the profile on that one?
And it's kind of they're designating it as a little bit more of a kind of mid ball flight, so I guess a bit closer to the blue. So maybe that's one that we can request, from them. It's a little bit higher in the torque, 3.8 on the torque on that one, 6 to 8 grams. Maybe one to try, if it's somewhere between those two, the black and blue.
Well, I think based on this initial test, I was pretty impressed with them. I mean, I've never hit any of these, and I think they stack up quite well against other stuff we've tried, and they've got plenty of benefits to someone that's in that price range and likes UST stuff and kind of wants to get back into it. It's good stuff.
Absolutely, and again, just looking at these numbers more specifically, the black, clearly you found your timing to be the best with the black.
Yeah.
Ball speed jumped up, strike location shifted out a little bit. Quite interesting.
That was interesting.
That all of a sudden that shifted over. Dynamic loft, because you were able to get the face squared up a little bit more. These are all the things, guys, in kind of in the fitting that we're trying to control. We're trying to manipulate face angles. It's not always the role of the shaft or the head. It's everything kind of coupling together. You never really want to identify one thing. The shaft will make it go lower. Well, how does it make it go lower? Is it going to do that by deflecting less? Well, maybe not. Rotation can be a big part of it. Okay, guys, so many options. You guys are probably sitting at home scratching your head as to how do we ever select between these. But the reality is that, all these shaft companies, whether it's Fujikura, Acra, UST, VA, Mitsubishi, Aldila, they're all making great products. They're all trying to diversify their lineup, trying to give you guys more options. Options that fit the heads that are current and popular. That's very, very important as well. It's, the shaft manufacturers know that if they're going to be successful, they have to pair up with the current buzz or trend when it comes to the way heads are being designed. So, always it defaults back to go get fit, go talk to a dealer. research who's in your local area that has a selection of these things, that they're not trying to, you know, shoehorn you into one you know, segment of the market or one brand. You've got to have all the brands open to you and have the ability to be agnostic when making a good decision about that stuff.
I think it's just good to have another company like this that, let's say, like, you don't carry UST right now, and maybe you'll change your mind. But if someone has a shop near them that UST is a big part of their matrix, it's good that they can look at this video and go, okay, it's quite comparable to some Fujikuras and Diamanas, and I can feel good about testing them. It's not an inferior product. It's just different, and it may or may not suit me.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
Good stuff. Okay, guys, stay tuned. More shafts coming in the door every single week. We will see you again soon.